Get out of my house. No, seriously, picture this. I'm standing in my own kitchen, still smelling like the cobbled tarmac and airplane peanuts after 18 months in Afghanistan, staring at a woman who is making eggs in my dead grandmother's cast iron skillet. Her husband is camped out on my couch like he's paid the mortgage, and their kids freeze forks midair, looking at me like I'm the intruder. "Excuse me?" she says, voice cool as the tile under my boots. "Can I help you?" Like I just wandered in off the street, not the guy whose name is literally on every piece of mail stacked by the door. But that's not the real punchline. She pulls out a lease signed, notarized, complete with a gold sticker, waves it in my face, and says, "We pay rent to Margaret Whitfield. We live here legally." You know what's better than a bad joke? Margaret herself waltzing in behind me, her white Lexus gleaming in my driveway, like an insult, holding her designer purse and that tight little smirk she saves for when she thinks she's about to win. "Jake, you're back early." "Abandonment of property requires proper HOA procedures," she chirps, sounding like she's quoting the Bible. Abandonment. I was deployed Margaret. Should have followed protocol. That's what she says. I haven't smiled in months, but right then I do. She has no idea what's coming for her. And by tomorrow, every soul in this cul-de-sac is going to know exactly what happens when you steal from the wrong soldier. Let me tell you about Margaret Whitfield, our neighborhood Karen, the kind of lady who owns 3 measuring tapes for her grass and takes pictures if your Christmas lights are still up on January 3rd. Margaret's been HOA president for 6 years, running mostly because nobody else wants the job. And let's be honest, we all should have seen that as the red flag it was. She drives a white Lexus that reeks of vanilla air freshener and barely concealed panic, and her whole personality is like if HGTV got rebooted as a horror franchise. Used to be a real estate agent until the state said her creative contract interpretations were maybe a little too creative. Foundation cracks covered with paint water damage hidden behind decorative paneling, commission checks that mysteriously came out just a bit fatter than agreed. I think half her wardrobe came from courthouse gift shops. After her divorce, she landed on her feet. Of course, biggest house in Sunset Hills, all Spanish tiles and fake columns, like a Mediterranean villa designed by someone who's only seen the Mediterranean on a screensaver. Trouble was, the money ran out before the Instagram clout did. And alimony only stretches so far when you have expensive tastes and no actual skills. And that's where I come in. My name's Jake Brennan, 3rd-generation Army. My parents died when I was 8, car crash, rainy Tuesday, foster care shuffle. Grew up bouncing between houses, always a little on the outside until I turned 18 and signed up, promising myself I'd make something permanent. My VA loan house was the first thing I'd ever owned. Not big, not fancy, but mine. The smell of motor oil and cut grass, a garage where I rebuild bikes on the weekend, the sound of socket wrenches and classic rock echoing into the night. That place was home. When Afghanistan called, I did everything by the book. Mortgage, utilities, HOA dues, all auto-paid. Asked Mrs. Fiona from next door, she's 70, bakes cookies that can erase childhood trauma, to watch the place pick up my mail and keep an eye out. Even went to the January HOA meeting, told the board, myself, I'll be gone 18 months. Margaret sat there with her notepad asking about emergency contacts and promising to keep an eye out for suspicious activity. Should have seen the gleam in her eye, the way a vulture gets excited before a long weekend. 3 months in my grass gets a little tall. Mrs. Fiona tries her best, but my mower outweighs her by 40 pounds. Instead of helping, Margaret slaps a violation notice on my door, heavy-duty sticker that never comes off. When no reply comes, kinda hard to answer emails from Kandahar, she escalates to abandoned property. Digs up some dusty HOA bylaw about vacant homes, forgets all about my deployment letter, which magically disappears from the meeting notes. By June, she's listed my place on Craigslist for $2,800 a month. Puts a family in Maria Rodriguez, nurse, smells like hospital soap and heartbreak. Carlos, strong handshake, 2 little twins who fill the house with laughter. It never got from me. Margaret tells them foreclosure, hands over official documents, pockets the rent. While I'm getting combat pay dodging mortars, she's collecting $8,000 straight into her purse. But deployments end, and some of us don't come home alone. First stop, HOA office. I walk in with deployment orders, bank statements, 18 months of steam ready to blow. Margaret's hiding behind her fake ficus. The place smells like vanilla and fear. Jake. What a surprise, she says, as if I'm a birthday guest. I slide my papers across the desk. 18 months. Every bill paid. Why are strangers in my house? She shuffles through her records, all crisp and convenient. You failed to notify the board officially. I was at the January meeting. No formal notification, she repeats, eyes sliding sideways, hands shaking as she pulls out letters with suspiciously fresh postmarks. Thing is, Afghanistan teaches you a lot about spotting forged paperwork. The ink's wrong, the dates don't line up, and the edges are a little too perfect. I tell her, these are fake. She just smiles. Do you have proof? Oh, Margaret, you really picked the wrong guy. 2 days in the county records office, dust in my lungs, ancient files everywhere. My grandfather used to say, paper trails don't lie. People do. Margaret never filed a single thing, not a scrap of official abandonment paperwork. Rent never appeared in HOA financials. That precious 90-day clause exists only in Margaret's head. Next stop, Veterans Legal Aid. Attorney Sarah Rodriguez. Yeah, same last name as my tenants, but no relation spreads my evidence like a winning poker hand. This is fraud, forgery, violation of the Service Member Civil Relief Act, she says, pen clicking like gunfire. Federal prosecutors love this stuff. Margaret's first mistake was thinking I'd go away quietly. Her second, doubling down. Suddenly, the Rodriguez family starts getting HOA violations. Maria gets ticketed for excessive vehicle idling just for warming up her car at dawn. Carlos gets cited for mechanical work after changing the oil. Margaret's trying to evict them, erase the witnesses. Then she blasts the neighborhood email, safety concerns in Sunset Hills. Claims I'm some unstable veteran conducting surveillance on innocent families, throws in some photos of me checking my own property, calls it threatening behavior. Almost worked. Almost. But she forgot about Mrs. Fiona, the kind of neighbor who remembers everything and knows everyone. Mrs. Fiona forwards the email to every military family in the neighborhood, adds, "This woman is lying about Jake. I saw everything." My phone blows up. Tom Harrison from Maple Street, former Marine, calls. "We've got your 6th brother." Within hours, Margaret's story collapses. That's when things get desperate. Thursday night, 8 p.m. Margaret shows up on my porch, mascara, running, shaking hands, holds out a cashier's check for $5,000. "Let's resolve this quietly," she says, as if $5,000 covers $11K in theft and a mountain of federal crimes. She's standing right under my new security camera, by the way, installed that morning. I let her talk. "I was helping the community," she says, voice cracking. "You were helping yourself." That's when I hand back her check. "I want every cent plus damages plus your resignation plus an apology to the Rodriguezes." She's furious. "You'll regret this, Jake. I have resources." Those resources turn out to be a greasy PI in a rusted Honda taking blurry photos from across the street. He thinks he's Magnum PI, but really he's just background noise to a couple of old Army buddies who happen to drop by. Tony Reeves, my old squad leader, spots the guy first. "Want me to say hi?" He grins, cracking his knuckles. Instead, we give him a show. Tony, dark sunglasses, duffel bag, loud phone calls about packages. Next day, P. I follows him to Home Depot where Tony buys zip ties, duct tape, plastic sheeting. Nothing more than home improvement supplies, but the P. I thinks he's cracked a cartel. He calls the cops on us. Deputies show up, find us installing a faucet and organizing tools. Ma'am, one officer tells Margaret filing false reports is a crime. Her investigator loses his license again. Margaret spirals. She starts forging new minutes, inventing fake board votes, tries to rewrite history. Problem is, Afghanistan taught me a few things about documentation, and my lawyers now got the original HOA records straight from off-site storage. No mention of my property, no votes. Nothing. Margaret's story falls apart like a sandcastle in the rain. But she's not done. Not even close. 2:47 a.m. My phone buzzes. Security alert movement in the garage. I see Margaret. "Yes? Yoga pants, flashlight, sneaking in, stashing a little baggie behind my motorcycle lift. Planting evidence. In Afghanistan, we called that a really dumb move. I call 911, wait on the porch. Deputies arrive, Margaret right behind them in her Lexus, ready to discover the drugs during her inspection. Instead, they watch security footage of her breaking in, planting what turns out to be crushed Adderall. Officer clicks the cuffs, says, "Ma'am, you're under arrest for multiple felonies." The sound those cuffs make, that's justice, baby. The news hits the neighborhood like a bomb. Facebook groups light up with memes, Margaret's mugshot, the caption, "Play stupid games, win federal prison." Suddenly, every neighbor she ever scammed steps forward. Mrs. Patterson, 78, sweet as pie, reveals Margaret scammed her out of $1,200 for repairs that never happened. The Garcias had paid for landscaping that was a front for Margaret's brother. Turns out she's been running a one-woman crime wave for years. The DA holds a press conference, makes Margaret the poster child for HOA corruption. She's banned from Sunset Hills, stripped of everything but her orange jumpsuit. Her lawyer comes crawling, offers $25,000 to keep quiet, says it's just an unfortunate misunderstanding. I laugh so hard I almost choke. Tell Margaret she can use her hush money as toilet paper in prison. Attempting to bribe me, that's witness tampering. Nice job, Margaret. And here's the real gut punch. Sorting through boxes in Sarah's office, I find a letter from 18 months ago, Margaret writing to the HOA's attorney asking about renting out vacant homes. The attorney's reply, "Not allowed. Criminal trespass." Margaret had known the whole time. She planned this. While I packed to deploy, she was measuring my windows, looking up rental rates, marking me as the perfect target. She had a spreadsheet. Every military family in the neighborhood, deployment dates, property values, vulnerability scores. My name at the top. No family support? Perfect target. I wasn't a neighbor to her. I was a dollar sign on two legs. And for years she got away with it because nobody wanted to spend their weekend digging through records. But when you try this on a soldier, especially one who learned in war to never leave a brother behind, well, you're not just picking a fight with a guy, you're picking a fight with a community. We held our own little D-Day at the neighborhood meeting. Margaret in cuffs was forced to listen as every neighbor she ever hurt told their story. Forged signatures, fake bills, insurance scams, all laid out on the big screen. The federal prosecutor read out her sentence, 15 years, all assets forfeited, permanent ban from any HOA board. And a new law named after our case now protects military families from scumbags like her. I looked at her one last time and said, "You forgot something, Margaret. Soldiers don't abandon each other. You came for one of us. You got all of us." The applause shook the ceiling. Justice, real and satisfying, had landed. 6 months later, I'm in my own kitchen, Rodriguez kids playing in the yard next door, Maria waving on her way to work. Carlos fixing up his place 3 streets over, bought with Margaret's restitution. The house smells like new paint, clean and hopeful. Every trace of her is gone except the lesson that sits heavy in the air. Margaret thought authority made her untouchable. She forgot bullies only stay in power as long as good people let them. The real victory isn't her prison sentence or the news headlines. It's neighbors laughing together, veterans helping each other, a law that says, never again for the next soldier, the next old lady, the next quiet kid who just wants a home. So tell me, have you ever had to stand up to someone who thought their little slice of power made them invincible? Ever dealt with a Margaret in your life? Drop your story in the comments. Let's hear about the time you fought back, because sometimes justice needs an army. And if you want to see more stories where preparation beats intimidation, you know what to do. Subscribe, stick around. There's a Margaret out there for everyone, but there's a Jake, a Mrs. Fiona, a Tom Harrison too. And sometimes the good guys really do win.